Hello, everyone. Welcome to our graduate research seminars. Today, Conghao will give a talk about adaptive access mode selection in space-ground integrated vehicular networks. When you are ready, you can start your presentation.
Okay, thanks for your host. Hello, everyone. This is Kong Hao, and it's my honor that I can present our research work in this seminar. My work's title is Adaptive Access Mode Selection in Space Ground Integrated Vehicular Networks. This is the outline of this presentation. First, I will introduce the background and the motivation. Then I will present the system model and the problem formulation and the proposed adaptive access mode selection scheme for space-ground integrated vehicular networks. Some simulation results will be presented to evaluate the performance of the proposed scheme. Finally, I will conclude this presentation and introduce future works. As a typical network scenario in 5G and beyond networks, Internet of Vehicles supports diverse vehicular services. I list some promising applications like emergency response in vehicle entirement, traffic flow monitoring, safe navigation, and vehicle autonomy, and so on. Specifically to support such diversified IOV services, vehicles to exchange their critical information with each other or edge and cloud servers. Therefore, such IOV services require lots of data to upload, which challenges in future wireless networks. In conventional networks, data regarding vehicular services can be uploaded through terrestrial network infrastructures like base stations. However, conventional terrestrial vehicular networks have significant challenges in supporting IOV service will guarantee their QoS requirements due to the following three reasons. The first reason is high vehicle dynamics, which includes two parts, vehicle mobility and service demand. The second reason is the limited coverage of base stations. As the leveraged spectrum frequency becomes higher, like millimeter wave, the base station coverage becomes smaller and smaller. As a result, vehicles with high mobility should frequently hand over among base stations, which will increase too much delay in handover. The third reason is that the coverage of 5G is still limited. For example, there are not sufficient base stations deployed in some rural areas, which will result in discontinued service provisioning. The next generation networks are expected to provide ubiquitous and reliable network connections to support IOV service in the high mobility scenario. Therefore, a space-ground integrated vehicle network as GIVN architecture is recently developed for IOV services, which exploits the global coverage of satellite constellation to complement current terrestrial networks. The SGIVN architecture has three advantages for supporting IOV services. The first one is enhanced throughput, since satellites can leverage more frequency spectrum to support data transmission. The second one is high reliability, which is because that more than 100 satellites in a satellite constellation. Generally, more than 2 satellites can cover the target area simultaneously, which provides high reliability to guarantee the connectivity. The third one is the seamless coverage, since each satellite has larger coverage compared with terrestrial base stations. Satellite constellations can generally provide nearly global coverage for supporting IOV services. Therefore, SGIVN can provide heterogeneous access resource for services, and these access modes have distinct features and issues. For example, for satellite networks, the impact of vehicle mobility is negligible in vehicle-satellite communication, since each satellite has a broad coverage area However, the propagation delay of vehicle-to-satellite communication link is non-negligible due to the high altitude of satellites. For terrestrial networks, the limited and fixed base station coverage may result in frequent handovers for high mobility vehicles, thereby degrading IOV service quality. Thus, according to these distinct features, adaptively selecting access mode for vehicles is a necessary building block for SGIVN resource management to improve IOV service quality and enhance the whole system performance. So access mode selection in the SGIVN faces two main challenges. First, the satellite propagation delay and the handover frequency among base stations. The handover among base stations vary temporarily with satellites and vehicle mobility respectively. A myopic AMS the access mode selection policy without anticipating the future network variation cannot adapt to dynamic network environment and lead to unsatisfactory performance. Second, the data packet arrival of IOV service request is dynamic and has different patterns. For example, saturated and unsaturated. We show an example in this figure, which includes both saturated and unsaturated data packet arrival in. We define three factors of unsaturated pattern. Different access modes should be selected in the SGIVN. For case with different data packet arrival pattern, for instance, satellite transmission may be undesirable in unsaturated data packet arrival cases due to the long propagation delay, but it may be preferable in saturated data packet arrival cases due to the fewer handovers compared with base station transmission. Then I will introduce the specific system model of this work. We consider SGIVN with several terrestrial base stations and LEO satellites as shown in this figure. The LEO satellites in a satellite constellation follow the same trajectory with each vehicle traversing the roads. It can select different access modes for DP data packet forwarding, like base station communication or satellite communication. Since different vehicles have independent service requests, we model the AMS for a vehicle, and this model can be easily extended for multiple vehicles. The communication channel model includes two parts. The first one is for vehicle base station link. Since we consider a vehicle scenario, the channel gain of vehicle to base station links would change with vehicle mobility. The second one is for vehicle satellite link. We also consider satellite mobility in this work. In specific, the distance between satellite and vehicles is time varying. The distance can be calculated according to this satellite trajectory, such as elevation angle and attitude. Since the distance between satellite and vehicle is time varying, the channel gain of vehicle satellites varies temporarily. I will introduce the unsaturated service demand here. Specifically, we consider an uplink buffer. The vehicle will store the data packet regarding IOV services in its uplink DP buffer, as shown in figure. Since the DP arrival is not saturated, which means that the uplink buffer may not always be full. Therefore, the vehicle should select its access modes according to the buffer status. As mentioned in 3GPP standard, the vehicle is with connected status, and if uplink buffer is empty, and the vehicle will be active if uplink is not empty. So the vehicle status will be determined by the DP arrival. As vehicle and satellite mobility is significant for access mode selection, we should take handover delay into account. We consider three types handover delay in this work: base station to base station, base station to satellite, and satellite to satellite. All of these three handover delay only occur in active status. In other words, the handover delay does not affect vehicle performance since when vehicle with empty buffer because they do not upload data packets for IOV service in during this time period. Based on the system model mentioned above, I will present the formulated access mode selection problem. The objective is to maximize the long-term data rate of the vehicle by selecting the access mode in each time slot. The consumed communication time in each time slot consists of 4 parts: the duration of resource request, forwarding delay, handover delay, and satellite propagation delay. So this is a stochastic integer optimization problem, which is difficult to solve due to the 2 reasons. First, the objective function consists of a random variable of DP packet arrival, like this. And second, we should consider network dynamics in terms of DP arrivals and vehicle mobility at the future time slot to avoid myopic AM decision making. So to solve this problem, we consider the time-evolving network dynamics, and we leverage a Mark IV decision precise framework to model the evolution of DP-related vehicle status. We first define the state as a tuple of action in the last time slot, the DP buffer status, vehicle location, and satellite location. We define the action and the access mode we selected in different time slots, and we define the reward as the consumed communication time. Here we also introduce the state transition probability, which means that the probability that a state transits to another state, which depends on dynamic data packet arrival in this work, data packet arrivals, mobility, and chosen actions in this works. And let the random precise of data packet arrival be stationary over this long-term period. We adopt a stationary stochastic policy for AMS dependent by pi. The stochastic policy is a function maps the site of state into the site of probability distribution on the action side. Therefore, based on the MDP, we should find a stochastic policy pi to determine the action in each time slot. Considering whether the stochastic model of the data packet arrival or not, we solve this problem for 2 cases. A special case that the data packet arrival model is known, like Poisson model, and a general case that the data packet arrival model is unknown, the other ones. So for an ergodic and stationary MDP, the probability of choosing action in a state S can be represented by the probability of state action pair in this equation. So in this special case, we can solve this problem as follows. The basic idea is that finding the optimal policy is equivalent to finding the probability of state action pair. Since the stochastic model of DP arrival is known, we can calculate the state transition probability. As a result, we can transform the original problem into the following linear programming problem. The constraint term B is the global balance equation of the steady state probabilities, and the constraint term C is that we assume that the sum of all probabilities of the action pair equals 1. So this problem is linear programming, which can be solved by many different algorithms like branch and bound algorithm or some conventional existing CVX server in polynomial time complexity. So we will don't present the details of how to solve this ILP problem. So for a more general case, we do not know any model of the data packet arrival. As a result, we cannot obtain state transition probability and find the probability of each state action pair. In this case, we define Q-value function to evaluate each state action pair, which represents the expected discontinued reward of taking actions under policy pi, starting from state S. Then we propose a reinforcement learning-based algorithm to solve this problem. The basic idea is to estimate and iteratively update the Q value based on the received reward in each time slot. As the dimension of the state action pair is too large, we adopt a neural network to approximate the Q value function. And based on the approximate Q value, we can choose the action with the largest Q value in each time slot. We present some simulation results to evaluate the proposed AM scheme. Figure A shows the convergence performance of the AM's algorithm. We can see that both the overall delay and the average data rate converge after 150 episodes. In figure B, we compare the data rate of the proposed algorithm with that of the benchmark algorithms under different scenarios, like the different average vehicle velocities. The vehicle's long-term data rate of the proposed algorithm AMS is the best one in both high mobility and low mobility case. Considering different data packet arrival patterns, we evaluate the impact of data packet arrival in terms of arrival rate, surgeon interval, and surgeon time. All of these are the impactor factors we mentioned about, before. Compared with the benchmark algorithms, the proposed AM algorithm can achieve the best long-term data rate in the SGRVN due to the adaptive exploiting the complementary advantage of both space station and satellites. Finally, I will conclude this presentation. First, the space ground integrated vehicular network (SGRVN) is a promising network architecture to support IOV services. And second, we have investigated access mode selection problem for SGRVN and propose an AAMS scheme to adapt to dynamic networking environment and the data packet arrival patterns. In the future work, we will study the strong optimization of AMS and resource allocation to satisfy diversified quality of IOV service requirements. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Chonghao's great presentation. Is there any question from the audience?
Thank you, Chonghao, for your presentation. Yeah, I have a question about the problem formulation in about page 10. Yeah. So the state here, we consider the action in the previous time slot and data packet buffer state and vehicle location, satellite location. So I wonder, so where the access model selection is implemented? Is it implemented at the user or the satellite? Because in the state we need to know the vehicle location and the satellite location.
Oh, okay, I see. Here is I think we focus this I think both of you talked about the two cases can be implemented in current networks. The first one is the controller can be located at the base station. In this case, the uplink buffer status will be uploaded to the base stations. This is what the conventional networks do that, because for the uplink communications, each vehicles or each users will upload their data packet buffer status, because base stations should allocate resource to these vehicles for their uplink communications. So this is the first case. And for the second case, the controller can be deployed at each users, and all users will distributedly to decide their access mode. And in this case, base stations may tell these users where is the vehicle to tell where is the vehicle's location. What is the satellite location? So I think two cases will be, both of these two cases can be implemented. Depends on the signaling overhead, because sometimes the data packet buffer status is easily to upload. But so I think maybe in the future, to deploy the proposed algorithm, the controller may be located at the base stations. And because in the future work, we will focus on multiple users case. So maybe the base stations can jointly consider the multiple vehicles in the future work. So I think to answer your questions, the controller is located at the base station is more properly.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
Okay.
Thank you for your answer. Thank you.
Is there any other questions? If no more questions, we can stop our graduate seminar here. And just a reminder that if you are interested in this presentation, we would appreciate if you can fill in the evaluation form of the seminar, and the link is given in the email. So thanks for Conghao's presentation, and we can stop here.
Thanks for the host. Thanks for everyone's good questions. Thank you.